All right, so let's check out what I'm doing here in this solo. Now, what I really wanted to focus on was how the use of arpeggios in this style of guitar playing is really important. And I'm going to repeat this throughout the course and say that, in modern country music, in a lot of pop music, if you're getting to play a guitar solo at all, it's usually only for a very short time. The fact that we have 8 bars here is kind of a long time, actually. So we need to really construct a well-crafted solo that might not be improvised like our blues playing. So what I did was I started with some arpeggios over the chords. Now let me show you the chords again here. In the key of E, we're going to have E, then B, then C sharp minor to A. Then the next 4 bars repeats E, B, D, and A. Now that D to A move is really special, and you'll hear that a lot in today's modern country and even old country, where they force in what I call, and what's often called, the flat 7 of the key. In the key of E, a D sharp would be the natural 7. Now what we're doing is we're putting a D chord in this mostly E-based song. That allows us to maybe play some cool blues riffs or take our solo to a new place, which you'll see here at the end of it, and I'll show you how I navigate that. One of the things you hear in a lot of this style of music is melodic arpeggio style playing. So the first riff I play is just an E arpeggio. And look at that, it looks like a little D chord, because that's kind of what it is, right? But I play each note individually, and it creates that great little melody. Right there on the 16th and 17th frets. You can see that in your tablature there, that it's just like that little D chord move. Now the next chord's B. What am I going to do again? I play that arpeggio one more time. Now I'm playing over the B chord. My notes are F sharp, D sharp, and B. So that's our first part. Now the C sharp chord is coming next, and I play this little move. So what I'm doing there is I'm actually bending up to an E note, which is the minor third of the C sharp chord. And I'm hitting that F sharp note on the way down. Now be careful, because that's a half step bend. It's not a whole step bend. That's not going to sound right, because we want to play to the chord tone and pay attention to the chord tone to make our solo really melodic. Okay, so this is kind of like what I think of as playing jazz in modern country music or pop country music or pop music in general, because you do have to pay attention to the chord changes. So once we're at that C sharp chord, now I'm going to go here, and I'll play a great sort of pedal steel classic country idea over the A chord. And why does this work? This is the beauty of these great players that have sort of forged their way through country music in the past 20 years, is that they take these tried and true country guitar ideas and put them in this sort of rocked up feel with great tone, some overdrive behind it, and really make it aggressive. So what I do is I bend here on the 12th fret on this B note, and that gets me that C sharp as I bend up a whole step to the E, and that works great over that A chord. So we have arpeggio, arpeggio, bend. Now we're going to go back into this sort of double stop idea. Okay, and that's something you're going to play in rock music all the time, but we can really put it into the country feel here. And you'll notice that I'll often kind of go, and on the third one, I'll grab them together. So what we're doing is we're bending to hit those notes. That's our little melody right there. Ba-da-da. Okay, so it's ba-da-da, ba-da-da. Really great idea there. And if you're not familiar with double stops, get used to that technique and notice how I'm changing the first two and then playing them in unison on the third one there on the 14th and 12th frets. Then I sort of repeat the idea, but in a little bit of a different rhythmic motif, which is also really important. We're going to go back up to the same register, play the similar arpeggio ideas. Now right there, it's not an arpeggio, but it nods to the melodic content that we've already created. It's all sort of toggling off of that G sharp note, which is the third of the E chord. So G sharp, E, A, E, B. So the A is a nice passing note. Our next point, that gets us a great move into that C sharp minor. Really, really fun right there. Or sorry, into the B note. So we're bending on the B up to the C sharp, down to this F sharp here, and then we're going to do a pull off and just kind of fall into the D sharp there, which is the major third of the B chord. Now, why are all these things so important? Because these are chord tones, folks, and this is what makes your music sound really melodic. We couldn't just play through this going. And that might be okay and flashy, but this is such more sing-song quality. The solo is a new song inside of the song. That's how you want to frame your solos. And I can tell you that when you get in front of a bunch of people and you play this ripping 8-bar solo live, it's a really, really great feeling because you know it's going to lock up and everybody's ears are going to perk up. Okay, so that's my little story on that. Love that move going to the B chord. Now we talked about that flat 7. Now we have a D chord coming up. Now that's important because we can't just play any old thing over that. So what I've done is I've kind of crafted a descending line and then a blues lick. So we're going to go. And I'm going to use that E string as a drone, that high E string. I'm going to start with the D note here on the 15th fret. And you might see me play it with my fingers. Or with the pick is fine too. And it's going to walk down from 15, 14, 12, 10 with the high E stringing ringing the whole time. Now here comes our E minor pentatonic riff. And this is something that Keith Urban and Brad Paisley and a lot of sort of more well-known modern country players do, is they'll sort of wedge that blues thing into these real major sounding songs, okay? So that's just kind of the same riff repeated twice. Check this out. Start on the B note on the 12th fret there. And you've probably played something like that if you played any blues or rock. And then you can end right there on your root. Now with my right hand, what I might do is if you check it out, notice how I'm getting almost every other note there. And what I talked about earlier is that the fingernails will really be your asset when it comes to this kind of playing. I use them and grab whatever I can, whenever I can. If I have to go for that first riff, I'll do it. It's become such a part of my playing that I think once you get it incorporated, it's really going to take over some things and help you navigate the guitar even more swiftly than you might already. Okay, so here's the whole solo. 3, 4. Here comes your bend, half step. Second part. Flat 7 riff. There you go. Great Keith Urban inspired solo with plenty of techniques and thoughts on arpeggios and playing through chord tones. Work on that one because there's a lot of fun stuff in it. All right, I'll see you on the next solo.